Alright, now we're going to begin painting within the Gouda lines, and you get to apply everything you've learned up to now. As you can see, we're quickly adding color. I've laid down some water and alcohol, and I must tell you this is with dyes and not silk paints. You don't even have to touch the lines. The dye will run right to the lines itself. See how the in the middle of the petal there is the dilutant, which is water and alcohol. That gives you the ability to blend very smoothly. I just love how the dyes just run and almost paint themselves. Now this technique I'm showing you is using dyes, is not using paints. As we talked about earlier, paints do not mix with alcohol. If you want to use silk paints rather than silk dyes, you'll use water as the dilutant, not alcohol. So here we are basically towards the center of the picture, or I'm sorry, of the flower. We're adding the red and then the dilutant in the middle and yellow on the tips. And then rub the two together and you get a nice blending in between. And for a little contrast, you might put the opposite color on the next petal. Then you can see I've added a little alcohol. That's alcohol and water. Then I add the dye. It just kind of paints itself. This is so fun. Okay, next we're going to, for a little bit more contrast, we're going to just drop a dot of purple in the center. Now with your lesson plan, I've included this particular design of the flower. If you'd like to do the exact thing and follow along, you're welcome, or you can create your own design and then trace it as we did in the first video with Gouda, or you can do freehand Gouda. And remember, if you're using the solvent-based Gouda, you do not have to wait for it to dry. You just can't touch your brushes on the Gouda. If you're using the aqua base or the water-based Gouda, you really do need to let it dry. Otherwise, you're going to have a big mess. This is very similar to watercolor painting. Okay, here we are going to add the leaves, and we're going to add blue, and then we're going to add yellow to it, and it's going to make green. But I'm not going to totally mix it. I'll let it kind of go on its own. It creates its own interesting texture this way. You'll notice each color reacts differently. The yellow in the dyes is kind of the bully of the colors, and it actually pushes other colors out of the way. So it's a dominant color. Now we're going to use this silk technique in the background. So I'm putting two colors down, kind of a purple and a blue. It's interesting to experiment to see how different colors pull one into each other with the salt technique. Okay, now salt, the large ones, pieces there on the left, is rock salt. And kind of the ones in the middle is called kosher salt. It's kind of the middle type of salt. And then little tiny ones are the table salt. And each one creates, as you can see, a different pattern. And it happens very quickly. You can see all the different patterns of the salt pushing and pulling the dye. It's really quite exciting to watch. And the salt will continue to react on the silk and the dye until it's completely dry. So you don't want to move the salt off until it is dry. It just continues and continues. All right, I hope you had fun. And I'd love to see your designs and what you experiment with. And more than anything, experiment, explore, and have fun. Until next time.